Hello everyone, good evening. So today we'll be seeing creating a REST service rule. Okay, so if you remember in last two sessions, okay, except that I created a small quick video. Apart from that, if you see, we were learning integrations, and first I had created connect integrations rule, REST connect integrations rules, and then we saw how we can connect SOAP integrations. I hope you have already watched that video and you have already understood it. So that today next thing is that creating a service rule. Okay, so in last sessions what we see is that we are connecting to some other system, external system. That means we are not a server, we are a client, and we are asking some details from some external system, so that external systems become service, okay, or the server for us. This time we will be becoming a server. Okay, we will be providing an endpoint URL, okay, so that the other system can do something with our system. So either they can give some informations also, okay, or they can, like, basically they can get some informations. Okay, so to call that, either they can get or give informations, both can happen with the service. Okay, we'll talk about the scenario, but basically this times we will be dealing as a server. Okay, sorry. So we will be dealing as a server. Okay, now the question is that when we should be creating a REST service in Pega. So if you see in today's scenario, okay, Pega has given tons of DX APIs. Okay, so like getting a case details or creating a case. So in 7.x or before in 6.2, we used to Pega we used to create services to create the case. Mainly, if you see in most of the places, if you see in the legacy applications or the upgraded applications, you'll find the services where we are creating the case from the external systems through the Pega REST services or the SOAP services. Mostly you'll find SOAP services. But the question is, do we really need it now? No, we don't need it because we have tons of DX API to create a case, to perform a case, to resume a case, to get the case data. So for everything you have it. Okay, so now very rarely you need it. Okay, so if you are going to create, or if your senior is going to create, just evaluate that is that work can be done through any Pega out of the box API or the DX API. Okay, I'm hoping that most of the things you can do. Few of the scenarios you cannot do is, like, let's say that some other system is giving some data to you. Okay, so in that kind of a scenario, like a still DX API is, we don't have any DX API, okay, dynamic DX API, which can accept the data from other system and process our case, it can process the case, obviously using the update case. Okay, other system can process, but just getting the data from some other systems and then later on doing something. Okay, on the fly we have the update case that can be done. Okay, so what we'll be learning today here, that okay, I have created a business scenario, but like as I'm saying, very rarely you need it. Okay, if you see any scenario, if you take any scenario, in most of the scenario you'll be able to achieve it with out of the box. But still I have created some scenario. Let's review that scenario. So I have a simple loan request applications, and in loan applications, when I'm submitting the details, so let's see if I'm giving some details and entering that I need this much loan, and then I'm entering few details. After that, what is happening? Okay, I'm saying that okay, fine, after this my request will go for pending background verification, so pending VGP. Okay, so we cannot like proceed further until we receive this background verifications details of this the loan requester. Okay, so now you can think of that this loan request cannot be background verifications cannot be completed in a single day. Okay, so then what will happen? The other system, okay, or the team, let's say you have another company, okay, a small company who does this background verification, so they'll take a week. Okay, so in that case what we can do, you can put this case to a work basket and wait for the background verifications results. Now once that company will complete the background verifications details, okay, so the two way they can connect to, or they can pass that information. So one is that, okay, they can manually come and enter that, okay, details, or we can expose an API, okay, Pega API. So what they'll do, they'll just call an API and give us the status, okay, that these are the pass or fail background verification. So today we'll be seeing that and try to expose the same API through the other company. We will just pass that informations of this background verifications. So let's see that what kind of a data structure or data model we can use it here. Okay, so let's see that now we are expecting the background verifications, okay, from the other system or the small company, and we are going to expose in a service. Okay, so what they can send it to us. Okay, so they will basically send the background verifications details. So here let's say that here I'm saying that this is my case ID, okay, L1005, okay, Pega case ID, for which they are sending the background verifications. Account number is equals to 1234, and then BGV status, either you can say that okay, this is eligible for loan, or we can say pass or fail. We can say pass or fail as well, that background verifications is passed or fail. And then the background verification description, so this can be like kind of optional, okay. If it is failing, then they can provide more information that why it failed, okay. And what could be the response from the Pega side, okay, that status, PY status, I mean this response, it's all depends on the team, okay. You can create you can create a complex like kind of a response, but here I'm just like trying to stamp one property, pass or fail in PY status. We'll be using out of the box property here. Now to receive this, okay, we need to have this data model, then only we can receive it. So for that, what I have done it already, I have created a data model, okay, because we need the similar data model to receive the data, okay, so that we can pass from a clipboard page, process this data, and then send, and then like move forward this case, that okay, now the background verification is done, this case can move forward for the loan processing. So what I have done here, so if I just go to this loan class, data class here, in data class I have created a BGB details class, okay, and in this one I have already created those attributes, 4 or 5 attributes, whatever we needed. Account number, BGB DSC, BGB status, and Pega case ID. So what we will be doing here, the moment we'll receive the value from the external system or the other client, request from the other system, we will just save this to Pega database, and then further, okay, we can like process this case. Process this case means either through the agent or through the queue processor, or we can do the on the fly also. We can process this case, like basically we'll update this case with the background verifications, and we will from the this we have put this case into a work basket. From there we'll do a resume flow and then send it for the further processing, let's say for review or for other stage, okay. So that's how we'll do, but for now we'll just, once we receive the data, we'll just save it to a database table, okay. So if I go to data here, I have not created a database, so I'll do a configure source, okay, and I'll make that Pega case ID as that key, because for each we'll only receive one Pega case ID, so we can say that Pega case ID and account number both it can be, yeah, key. So I'll just make this as a key. So the moment we'll receive the data, we'll just first stamp it, okay, because what will happen, so for data integrity you can save it to Pega database and further process. You can do the on the fly as well. If you do on the fly, you can do more exceptions handling, because there could be chances that case can be locked. Obviously if you're sending to a work basket, kind of a deferred work basket, no one can log that case, but yeah, it all depends like how you and your lead is designing. Either you can do on the fly process, or you can like just stamp. So for here I'll just save this data. So now we have created that, there is nothing, okay. So like this table is blank, so once someone will call our API, will save the data and insert to this table, okay. So now let's start that. So we have already created this one, we created that our request data model here we have. So request data model is ready. Now response data model we'll be using out of the box. So let's start creating that services. To create the services, if you come here, what all things we need? So the first we need is that we need a service package, okay. So what that package is, so within a package we can have many services, okay. And in one services we can have multiple methods also. So if you see that Pega one also, we say that DX API version 1, DX API version 2. So B1 and B2 here is like the package, okay. In one package we can have many API. Here also if I show you, then maybe you'll understand better. From here also you can see the service package. So V1 is that one service, V2 DX API is another service, and this one is another. So it's like in one package, it's like a package. In one package we can have many services. So you can see that we have Pega B1 API, we have many services, see, and in one services also we have many methods, okay. So see here, for the cases you can see that for the same services, same cases, we have a get case, create case, get case details, update case details. So there are like many things are there. So let's first create a package. So where we can create a package, because these things, so either you can follow these navigations while doing your POC, okay, or you can just follow from here. So now I'll close this one, okay, and then I'll create a package. So we have to go to resources, integrations, resources. So here I'll go to service package, and for now I'll just give the package loan. Okay, so you should give a package like, in this package you can have many APIs, right? So that is where you should give some meaningful name, okay, or the generic name. Within that you can accommodate multiple type of services. So I'm just giving a loan. Now in service package, okay, we need to define our access group. So we can just copy our access group from the operator ID. Why that? Why, you can ask, as if you're beginner, you can ask these questions that why, because our code is like accessible through access group only, so we need to define, then only this API can access our code, else it cannot access. The few other things we need to give is that require authentications. If you require authentications, what kind of authentication? So we will be using basics, basically passing the user ID and password, Pega user ID and password. We have few more options, OAuth and custom, so that we'll see sometimes later. And then also SSL, TSL, so we want to use or not. So basically HTTPS. And then in this one we have the pool size, like at the same times how many requester can access, like basically how many per second request we can serve. So basically we determine from here only. Okay, so once you'll become little senior, you have to determine that, like, okay, if someone is calling your APIs, that how much it should be, like how much node we have to run these services. Okay, so that our system should be capable to serve this many requests. Okay, so those things we can determine from here. And Open API is like, it's just a Swagger file. So for now you don't have to think much on pulling an Open API, just think on this context. So now our service package is ready. Okay, next things we have to create is that, let's see that here also, service package is ready. Okay, and then service version field improvement. Okay, next thing is that we have to create a service class. Okay, so here it has not been mentioned like, okay, in a very clear way, but we have to create a service class. Okay, so we can go ahead and create a service. So let's create a service also before. So we'll just go and we say service rest. Okay, so when we'll go for service rest, okay, we have to get the name. Okay, we have to give the name. So here we can say BGB details. So we can just simply say BGB details, the service name as well. And the service package we can select loan we have, and the service versions we can say v1, okay, and that's it. Okay, so here it's asking the URI templates. Okay, BGB details. One second, let me check this one. What could be the value for this one? BGB, let me give the same thing, BGB details. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. And we are creating in a loan rule set only. Okay, so if you're like, let's say, developing, then maybe you can consider developing in a separate rule set. It all depends, so that you can distribute in your organization. So it all depends on your lead. Okay, but for POC, anywhere is fine. Okay, so let's create this. Okay, so now you can see that when I created that, it automatically took that work class. Okay, but either we can use work class, or we can create like separate class for this API as well. Okay, so it all depends, like where you want to create. Okay, but I prefer, because if you see the how Pega nowadays is doing is, if you go here, then Pega API, Pega have created this like all DX API under Pega API. Okay, so you can create like another API class for your organizations. Okay, and then you can give a name of this VGB detail. So that's how you can create the class. Okay, so instead of this one, I'll prefer to create that one. So what I'll do, I'll copy this organization's name, and then I'll save as this class. So what I'll do, so instead of Pega API, I'll create my organizations, and then, so let me save as this, save as. So what I'll do, I'll say this one, and then API. So parent class, we can give base class as well, no issues. or we can give, sorry, our organizations, we can give our organizations class as a base class here, parent class. 1 second. Okay, so I think the rule set is different. It's organization's rule set, that is where it's throwing error. So let me try that. Save as again this one, and I'll just select organizations and then versions. I can just update the version. Sorry. Okay, so now my API class is ready, and then we have to create one more class. Okay, so that will be like kind of a inside this one. If I see here also Pega API, we have many classes. Okay, so here you can see somewhere we should see that API management class, data, inside data, somewhere you can see that. So similar way we can also replicate that. So, but for now I'll just simply go ahead and save as and create another class API, and then here I'll say BGB details. Okay. So now when we created this class, so basically here we're trying to create our services on organizations layer. So in that case, we can create our services also on this rule set only. So we'll change that. Okay, so now what we did, basically we created, let me show you, let me close few of the things. Okay, so let's see that here what we did. So if you see here, we created a API class parallel to this one. So we already had data, FW, int and loans. Okay, we created API class as well. So basically how, like if you can ask the questions that how you thought about this one, because Pega had already the similar structure for their DX API. So I created the similar structure so that we can reuse few of the properties from that one. Okay, if you really want in future, because this is we are using Pega. So this here we can say that, okay, Pega API, so that we can reuse that few of the things. So in this class we have few properties. If you want, we can use it. So for that only I did it, but that's fine. Okay, so now this one also, instead of creating in loans class, I can save it, sorry, loan rule set, I can save as this one to organizations one. So I'll just say this one also and this one. Okay, so I'll delete this one. So just not to confuse, okay, let's understand what we're doing. Okay, so we created a service package called loan, and then in service package we created a service, okay, service rest, and in this one we needed a class. Okay, so for that class, okay, instead of using work class, we created another class, okay, organizations API BGB details. Okay, so this class we created. So now we'll use this class as a service class. So I'll copy this one and I'll put it here. So for our services, okay, the primary class will become this one. Okay, so for our services, primary class will become this class. Okay, so Pega will like internally when service will get called from somewhere, okay, Pega will form a temporary page, okay, of this class. Okay, now the next thing is that we have to define the methods. Okay, that what methods we are going to use. So we are going to use post method. Okay, and before defining the methods, we have to define the like service activity as well. Okay, so we'll write activity name. Okay, so update BGB detail, something like that. Okay, we'll create activity. So let's create that activity as well. And this one also we can create in organizations layer. For now we'll not do anything in activity. What next we'll be doing is that we'll be defining the request and response. Okay, because that request and response would also come. Okay, so for that what we'll be doing, okay, so we can take a reference of existing services. Okay, so we have this API services, okay, and this is a create case services. So in this one, methods for post, what they're doing, Pega is doing, okay, in request data, you can see here in request tab, okay, we are defining param.request. Okay, so let me do that same here. So come here in post, if you come here in the request, you'll see that, okay, the descriptions. So we can say map to clipboard, okay, and then map to which property, param.request, okay, map sorry, one second, request, map to, and descriptions also request data, okay. So basically what it will do, okay, it will, let me explain. So it will take the whatever the JSONs will come as a request, okay, it will map to this clipboard property, okay. So we'll form this one. So basically whatever the JSONs will receive in this param.request, okay, as a clipboard property, and then we'll pass this one and we'll form the JSON. So we'll see how we can do that. Similar way we'll say here also response data, and then map from clipboard, and then here we'll say param.response. So similar way we can say here param.response. And for exceptions handling we have to add few things in the header. So those things is fine, you can take a reference of existing services and you can do it. So map from key. So now we have defined that, okay. So basically what will happen when we'll call that, when our external system, BGP system will call, we'll be receiving our request in param.request in a JSON format, and then we will be parsing that and form the clipboard structure from that JSONs, okay. And then using this activity we'll process the data, and process the data means we'll save the data to the database table which we created, and then finally once we'll be able to save that, we'll return as a response py status equals to success, okay. So that's it, we have to do that, okay. So now let's update this activity BGP details, okay. So for this one, if you want to save the data, what we have to do first is we have to create a page, okay. So we have to create a page of which class, of that BGP details class, of data class, okay. So instead of creating the page, we'll be creating a property, okay. Let me show you how we can do it. So we will be creating a property in this class. Let me see, API BGP details. So in this class we'll be creating a page type property called BGP details. This property, okay. Now you can ask a questions, why property we need to create, because if you review our request, we have individual property, okay, which we have already created in the BGP details class, data class, but we need this node also. Node means that page. So this is a kind of a page type of property. So we need this also, so that we can map this entire things on this page. So if you see the clipboard structure, how it will form, okay, dot BGP details dot pega case ID dot BGP details dot account number. So this, so we'll be forming like this. So I'll create a page type property here, and then the class of this one will be, okay, so we'll select single page, and the class of this one will be become our data class. So this class, so that we can access all the property. So now we are done, okay. So property we have created. So now what will happen, okay, this property is there in this class, okay. So and then the primary page, okay, when the service will get called, okay, the primary page will be this one, okay, of this class. So then it will automatically access this property and try to map those details. So as I explained, okay, the structure will become BGP details dot pega case ID. The pega case ID is already there in that data class, okay, of this, like we selected this as a page, and the class we gave the BGP details. Inside that one we already have this property. So let's do that. Now, so the first step is we have to parse that, the value which we are getting, okay. So we have to form that JSON to a clipboard structure. So to do that, what we can do, okay, we can use this methods, okay. So convert string to page, convert. So basically we are receiving param.request like that, and that value is in the JSON format. So we want to form a clipboard structure, okay, of that one. So I'll just simply copy and paste this one here, and I'll say property set, sorry, in this one I'll say property set, property set. So here what we have to do, we have to just pass this one a primary page. So on the primary page, so like on the primary page, as I mentioned, the primary page of like for this entire service will be a temporary page of this class, and in this class we already have the BGB details property, and then in BGB details property we have those attributes, single valued attributes. So here we'll just say local dot status, and few exceptions handling we can do that this step should only executed when param request is not blank. So those kind of things we can do that. So now the next step is simply, okay, if I'll just take this one and trace it, okay, service. Now only we can trace the service. Let's see why it is throwing error. Tools to my step page. What happened? It's the same methods which we are using, tools to param.request. I think this is correct only. Let me see that. Let's find out from here. Okay, let's see. So we'll search convert string to page. Oh, we are not getting. Let me see that if here also we are getting this error. So I'll just do a private edit, because sometimes this environment doesn't support. No, here there is no issue, so we should also not get any error. Let me see that. Sorry. Boolean value. Oh, sorry, because I have defined this local, and then so that in that case I need to define this local variable status. Now we should be good. Yeah. So what we are basically doing, we are passing that param.request and forming a clipboard page. Okay, and here we have not giving any page. Okay, so that means it will take that automatically, that primary temp page. Okay, so let's test this only for now and see. We'll trace and see the clipboard structure or in the tracer. Okay, so let's do that. So to test it, it's very simple. If you go to our service, let me close few of the things. So now if I refresh, so if you see there is no methods of inside the service package. Now if I refresh, we should get that. Okay, so see we have got, one second, yeah, see we got this v1 BGP details. Okay, and we can test as well. So here we can see that invocation history. So obviously we don't have any invocation history, so let me close that and we will be testing this one. So close this one, let me close everything, and then inside from here we can open this. So from where we will find this service rest, so we'll go to integration services. So here we can see that service rest. So now we can see that BGP details services. So we can open this one, and this is that endpoint URL which we have. So we'll simply go quickly and try to set up this in Postman, and let's see from the Postman if it is working or not. So what I'll do, I'll enter this one, I'll make this as a post, and then in authorizations, I'll see basic auth, and then in the user ID and password we have to mention that operator ID. So what I'll do, I'll update the password for this one to roles and use the same. So you need to enter your Pega user ID and password. So Pega operator and password. So we'll see here, we'll mention user ID and password rows. And in body, what we have to give? Okay, so in body we have to give raw, and this is the value we have to pass. Here we have written somewhere. So let's copy this one. So let's come back here. Now we need to trace that to see that what we are receiving. Okay, so to trace that, okay, what we have to do, in the service actions we have an options to trace. So let's see that. Okay, I'll say trace and try to hit this service. Okay, so something. So it looks like we cannot connect from that. We cannot connect from there. So run. Okay, so from here only we can test from the simulator. So we don't have to test it, like if it's not working from Postman, we can do it from here as well. So once we go to actions and run, Pega will launch a simulator and we can select the method and we can pass the message. Okay, so this is our message. Okay, now we'll click on trace as well. So at the same time we want to trace as well. So let me run this one, execute it. Okay, so let's see that. So as I was saying that it will create a temporary page, and on temporary page, okay, we already created a BGV details, and inside that one, whatever the value, okay, we passed it as a request, it got mapped. Okay, so now you can see that, okay, you have a page, okay, this page, inside that you have a BGV details. Okay, so what you have to do, simply you have to save this page, that's it. So then what will happen, this data will get inserted to the table. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I hope you are getting it right, that what we did it. I'll recap again, but it's a very simple. So let's open that service activity, and in the next step, so here we passed it. Okay, on the primary page on BGV details, let's see this one, we have this details, okay, which we wanted to save it to database. So simply let's add another steps, and we'll say obj save, and which page we want to save, this BGV details page, because BGV details is there on primary page. So we just want to save it. Okay, and for now we can just say right now as well. So let's make another service call, clean this one. Okay, and sometimes this simulator doesn't work, okay, multiple times, so we'll close it and then we'll rerun. Okay, so we'll go here again and run this one. So we'll again select post method, and then here we'll execute it. Okay, so here property sheet, what happened, false, something happened, it didn't execute it, step 2 or what, which is save, I can't see this one, property sheet, step false. Good, looks like we didn't save this one. So let me run again. Trace and run. Okay, so we can see the step 2. So see, step 2 got executed and we did that obj save. So obj save, where we did it on the primary page. Now let's see this, go and see this data type. So this was the data types for which we created. So let's go to record. Okay, so we can see the result. See here, whatever the value we passed it, we got it as it is. Obviously will not pass pass or failed. Okay, we'll pass the actual one. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, it's like it's very easy. Okay, that we created. Let's review again what we did it. Okay, so we created a service package. Okay, first, and then we created service package first, and then after that we created a service REST service. So let me open it again. So first we created a loan, okay, called service package. In service package we defined the basic authentications. Then next we created a REST service. To support that REST service we created a class. Okay, so here I created this one like organizations -API -BGB details. You can have it in your work class as well, no issues. Okay, for POC that's fine. And then you need to create a data structure. Okay, because my data structure, if you see here, the data structure was that BGB details. Inside that BGB details we have few more attributes. So similar structure you need. So let's say if you are using the work class, inside the work class you need to create this property. If you do not create the property, okay, it will work, but it cannot like from once we'll receive from the external systems. Okay, system will try to parse it, so it will convert from string to JSON. It will convert, but you cannot use it because that's not a like kind of a real property. Okay, it will be there on clipboard page, but you cannot use it. You won't be able to save it or do anything. Okay, so here you need this property. So if you're creating your own class, you need to have this, and then obviously this one belongs to a data class, and in that class we should have these attributes. So basically you need to create your own data structure. So that you need to do, that we have already created. Just to recap, okay, we had created a BGP details, and inside the BGP details we have those attributes. Then what we did, okay, we mention our service activity in post method. So here we are using post methods, and in then request and response we mentioned that, okay, whatever the request is coming, just take it in a param.request and map it to clipboard, means it will be available in param.request. Okay, and the same for response. Response still we haven't passed it, that whatever the response we are will be passing to external system in param.response. Now come to these systems. What we did in the very first step, that whatever the param.request we are receiving from the external system as a text, we are taking that and parsing that and forming it from JSONs. We are forming to clipboard, because that our string is a string which we are receiving, that's in a JSON format. So you can see that like while running we were passing JSON. So we are just saying that form it out my step page. My step is on the primary page, form that a clipboard structure. So you saw that we formed that clipboard structure. Okay, and then finally what we are doing, we are saving. So let's say here after receiving this, instead of saving, we want to process that case. So in that case we can use resume flow. Okay, whatever we want to do. Okay, because now our data is there in this one, so we can simply use this data to process the case anytime, because we have the data. Okay, so we are not losing the data. So we can do many things. Now let's see that how we can return the response also. Okay, so to return the response, what we can do, this times we form that, okay, string to page. Okay, so now this time what we have to do, from page we have to create a JSON and send it to param.request. Okay, so if it is success, let's say here we'll say, okay, that step status. So we can check step status, then we can jump to fail, let's say something like that. Okay, jump to latest step fail, or success, or say fail, let's say fail, else continue. Okay, so here I will set success response, and in this step, okay, here we can say true, then exit activity, and in the next step, okay, so here we can say fail and then failure response, and in this primary page we can do property set and simply set .py status, here in property set we have py status out of the box property. You can use your own data structure as well. Py status, simply I'll say py status, and here I can say success, and then we can just copy this one. We can say property set, and then we can set py status equals to fail. Okay, so py status is saying undefined, so maybe for now we'll just use py level. It all depends, like what kind of a data structure you are using for response. Maybe you can follow the Pega one, so you can take a look of the Pega one. Even you can for a different scenario you can return different error code, so that also you can do. Now let's run again, and then in this times we'll see that in response we'll see this also, that we are receiving py level equals to pass or fail. So I'll just take this value from here. I'll copy this one, BGP details. So this is like a request. Okay, and in this one I'll just say pass, and I'll remove this one. So I'll just say in this one also pass. So let me run it. So you can see that here we are getting 200. Okay, and in overall result we are getting success. Okay, okay, so now still we are not receiving that. So to receive this one, what we have to do, we have to do one more steps, okay, which we haven't done yet. Okay, so in param.request we have to set that value. Okay, so simply for now, okay, what we can do, we have to set this value py success or fail to param.request. So we have to form that one. Okay, so there is another methods. Okay, so here we have used convert px convert to string, convert a string to page. So now we have to use a string to JSON. So that one we have to use it. So but for now we can set param.response also. So directly single value we can set param.response, and here also we can use param.response. So let's run it again. I'll show you that how we can set if you have a complex like multiple response. Okay, so here you can see that we are receiving success. Okay, but how question is how you can set that one. Okay, so there is a method, as I was saying. Let me refresh this one. So now we are converting from a string, so we have to convert from page to a string and then send it. Okay, so if you have a, like, let's say you have set 4 or 5 properties, okay, so then also you can do it. I'll show you. So we can open this cases service. So see, I'm also taking that reference of Pega one. Okay, so you can take a look how Pega have designed. So here you can see that pz prepare response, and somewhere set error. See, convert page to string. Okay, so convert page to strings, and then we are finally sending it. Okay, so this method we can use it to convert our like clipboard page. Okay, and then send it to into param.response. So if I see here, see both the methods. Okay, so first one we are using convert a string to page, and while response we have to use convert page to string. Okay, so we have a page. So let's say we have on this page, okay, on this primary page we are setting, or we can create a response page altogether newly. Like let me do it here. So let's say I say response page, okay, and then I'll simply use the same class for a minute. Okay, so I'll simply here, and then this page I'll use response page, and then here let's say in the py level I'm setting success or failure, py level, and then what we have to do, we have to simply use this methods to convert our primary page to JSON. Okay, and map it to param.response. You're getting it. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is that I have set a success value on this py level, and then finally I'm converting this response page. So the value is response page.py level, and then finally converting that to a JSON and sending to external system. So here we have only one attribute. That is where maybe we won't see difference, but let's say you have error list, or you have some response which have 4 or 5 attributes, then it is really useful. Okay, and also you see that here we are converting from a string to page, and from here for response we are converting page to string. So let's run it and trace. We'll see that. And then finally you can remove response page in the end. So let's run this service again, and then we'll pass our request from here. Let's trace it as well, because we'll see. I'll explain from tracer as well, and just execute. So see, we are getting JSON now. Last time we just got success, but this time we are getting a JSON. So let's say you have a 4 or 5 more attributes, so that in that case we can return JSONs. Okay, let's see here as well. So here on, see the response page. In response page what we have py level equals to success, and then basically what we are doing, we are creating a JSON of this one. Okay, using that function and then sending to external system, and that is what we can see in a response here. So yeah, we learned everything, that how we can create a service package, how we can create a REST service, and then also how we can define that inside the method, how we can define the request and response, and then also we learned that once we receive the data on the primary page, how we can use it. Okay, so one of the usage we saw is that just simply saving to database table, and then further we can use the same data to process our case. Okay, another way we can use it is that instead of saving, we can directly open the case, our actual case, and update this data and move the case forward. Okay, so there are like many use cases. We saw that, okay, it's working. We have a defined request and response model and everything. Okay, so now you need to share this, you need to expose this service and share with other client. Okay, so depending like that that other clients belongs to within your organizations. If it is within your organizations, you can go with the normal authentications process. If it is outside, then you need to expose your services to internet. Okay, so that like every organizations have different process. Okay, now as a developer, what you need to share that to external systems. Okay, so you need to share that. Okay, so let's review that, because that is also important. Okay, just creating services will not help. You need to understand that how you can distribute these services as well, so that the other can use it. Okay, so let's go back to the services again quickly. So we'll go to service rest here, or basically we'll open the package. Okay, so service package. So this is the service package. So if you see here, okay, from the open API, this one also we can share. So basically this is the Swagger file. Okay, so we say that Swagger. Okay, so you can select this Swagger. So see here, it is looks like, okay, our services is coming from here. Also we can test our services. So let's say we'll say authorize. Okay, so user ID, let me quickly copy and paste that user ID from here. From that Swagger also we can test our services. Okay, so go to loan here, we'll say, and then sorry, because distribution is very much also important. Okay, so and then password say rules. So now we say authorize. No, we don't want to close. Okay, now we want to use the services. Okay, so here you can see that we can pass that value response data in a string value. So we can pass example value model. Okay, one second, try it out. Okay, so see here it's saying edit. So instead of string, we can pass our value. Let's copy the same one. So from where we'll copy, from here we'll copy this one. So basically we can test it instead of Postman, we can test it from here as well, from Swagger, and this times we'll just change that 6, and then rest I'll say same. Okay, and then we'll execute it. See, so see, when I execute it, we got that response, a success. See, the way we used to get in Postman or any other places, we got the response. If I'll go to the database table, the BGP database table, we should have this request. So you need to share this one, and to share this one, okay, the Swagger, you can share this YAML file to the other system. Okay, so that they can test your API with the basics details before going and start doing the development. Okay, and then also you can share that request and response JSON, so that they can take that reference and create their data model. Okay, so that is this is for the distributions. Okay, so I hope you got this one, because here where you'll get that option, so you need to come to service package and then in open API, and if you want to test it, you can come to Swagger and test it from here as well. If you want to just distribute the Swagger, because definitely the other team will say, okay, give me the Swagger of your API, so you need to copy this one and save as a YAML and share with the other team. So that's it for today's sessions. I know this sessions will be a little longer, but watch it from the beginning, and then this will definitely help you.